guys, so after a week of photographing little kindergartners, which was a lot of fun, but it's time to get back into the studio and create some more stock work and another video for you guys. And the idea for today's shoot was kind of inspired by another very popular YouTuber who recently dropped something into water, photographed it as it was splashing into the water. And I've done a shoot like that many times before. I don't know, for some reason I saw that video and I thought, let's do that again. I'm gonna drop several things into water, splashing, capture the stop motion of that, and hopefully create some stock images. We're gonna do that here in the studio, even though there's the risk of splashing some water around because it's pouring cats and dogs outside, and the studio's always got more control, which I like. And so I'm gonna get that set up, show you how I do it, and hopefully we can create some amazing images today. Okay, so the rain has subsided for just a second, so I'm going to run to the store, get some batteries for my speed lights. I want to use speed lights for this photo shoot because I'm not going to use a fast shutter speed in order to freeze the motion of the things dropping into the water. I'm going to use a fast flash duration. That's what's going to be used to stop the motion of the things dropping. And the speed lights are the fastest flash duration that I have in a strobe. My studio strobes are much, much slower. Speed lights are very fast, like 1/15,000th of a second, depending on what power setting you have. I'll post a little thing here that I found online where somebody specifically said what Canon speed lights will do. And so that's the advantage of using speed lights rather than trying to do a very fast shutter speed, which is, I talked about the YouTuber that I saw do this recently. He did continuous lighting, fast shutter speed in order to freeze the motion. But the problem with that is, and it worked for him, he came up with good results. The problem that I have in going that direction is a couple of things. Number one, you have to use a very fast shutter speed to freeze the motion of something dropping, even something dropping through water, because it's going to slow down once it hits the water, but you still need a very fast shutter speed. In order to get a very fast shutter speed, you're either going to have to open up your aperture wide open, which then presents some depth of field issues, or, and maybe in addition to, you're going to have to up the ISO, which as soon as you start upping the ISO, you're going to start losing quality. Now, the newer cameras produce very good results at high ISOs, I get that, but you're always going to have better results at a lower ISO. So using speed lights and a strobe is going to leave me the option of probably setting my ISO at 100, 200 maybe. So I'm going to have the best quality that I can. I'm also probably going to be able to shoot at f4, 5, 6, maybe in f8, we'll see. But still maintain the ability to freeze the motion and make it look sharp and amazing. So let's go get some batteries. Okay, I got the batteries and the lights, and I've got things set up. I didn't bore you with watching me set everything up, but let me show you what I've got going so far and do a little bit of explaining in the initial setup here. Okay, so here's my camera. I got a 200mm lens so that I can zoom in, back off enough that I've got some distance, but I'm compressing everything. I've got one speed light over here. There's my subject. I don't have any water in that tank just yet, but I got a glass in there so I can get some test shots off. One speed light over here being my main light, and then I've got a second speed light over here. And if you can see, I've got a white seamless set up in the background. The purpose of this speed light is to light up this background, as well as a little bit of an accent light on my subject. Now the trick is to get that seamless to be completely white. We need it completely 100% white, not a little bit gray, or it's not going to be as clean looking. So that's kind of the setup. And at the moment, I'm at 200th of a second at f5.6. This light's at a 16th power. The background light, that's hard to see, but it's at a 1/4 power. So 16th power with the main, 1/4 power with the accent background light, 200th of a second at f5.6. And there's where we are at. This is the last shot that I did, and I don't know how well this is going to turn out as far as showing you the details of it, but I'm liking the lighting on my duck. And to be honest with you guys, if I haven't said this before, the difference between good photography and great photography, or even good and bad, however you want to say it, is lighting. I don't care what camera you have, I don't care what lens you have on there. If you have poor lighting, it's just not going to be at a professional level. So I'm not going to sacrifice the lighting just so that I can stop motion or use speed lights. So I'm not unhappy with this lighting by any means, but one of the things that I always look at when I'm trying to shoot on a white background is I bring it into Photoshop. Here's my cursor, you can see it moving around. But watch these numbers up here when I'm on the white background. Let's see if I can, these RGB numbers, right? Okay, those RGB numbers. 255 is going to be perfectly white, and as you can see, as I kind of hover around my white areas, they go all the way down to 217. So I'm a little ways away from pure white there. And in fact, I don't know that I ever hit 255. So we're gonna make some adjustments to that backlight. I could probably open up my aperture a little bit. One of the things I've done to begin with is I put that backlight on a shorter stand. You know, I'm gonna play with it till I get that background at 255 all the way across. All right, I think I've got the white background looking very close to white. I think 253 was about as low as it went. So I think I can live with that. I might be able to tweak that just a tiny bit in post. And I did one last thing as far as the lighting. Let me show you that. I put a white card down here so that rather than reflect off the dark floor, it's going to reflect off that white, and just add a little bit more white to that back seamless. And I think we should be good to go. Time to fill that up with water. Water. Okay, so I think I've got everything set up in the way I want it. I'll show you here in just a second. But as I show you, now comes the tough part, is catching that duck or object, whatever I end up dropping, to get it to where it lands just right, the splash is right, the focus is right. And I think it's just gonna be a matter of doing it over and over again until I get one that I really, really like. But let me show you what I got. Okay, so there's just floating, splash one. There, I shot it too early, didn't even get to the splash. And there's a pretty good splash, except as you can see, you can't really tell that it's a rubber duck. So I think the trick is just gonna be doing it many times as it takes to get it the way I want it, come up with some different ideas. I think I'm gonna try to fold a paper boat too, out of construction paper or even just regular old paper, and have that floating in there, and hopefully we can come up with a handful of shots and get them to land just right when they drop. Let me warn you that if you are a perfectionist at all, this type of a photo shoot may drive you a touch crazy, because every time I drop it and it's, you know, it's close, it's like 90% there, you think I'll just drop it one more time. Okay, just one more time. And I have dropped dozens of times just to get that perfect thing. Now, I've got a slice of a lime and a lemon that I stole from the kitchen, and I'm gonna do it one more time because it's close, but it's not quite right. Let's do it one more time. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop there. I think I've got something nice. I'm gonna put it in the computer, make sure everything is sharp. If everything's out of focus, then start over. But I think as far as catching them at the right point with this good splash, and I think I have it. So as long as everything's sharp, I'm gonna go with the duck falling and the lime and the lemon slices, and then I'm gonna fold that boat, and I wanna get some kind of paper boat floating on the surface thing. And those basically 3 images will be what we capture today. So I'm gonna put those in the computer, make sure they're sharp, and then move on to folding a paper boat. Okay, so after several white boat attempts, and they're all not too bad, but I didn't love them. I found some blue construction paper, made a blue boat. I think this guy looks a whole lot better. Let's see if we can get him to float, take a couple of shots, and call this shoot a wrap. I think there's going to be more Photoshop work this time than I normally do, but I think the photo part of it, the shooting part of it at least, will be done. Well, that turned out to be a little harder than I thought. Big challenges were getting things to drop in an appropriate, aesthetic, pleasing way. The duck kind of didn't want to, he kept wanting to turn upside down, and so I think I got one or two of him, but that was a challenge. And then the lemon and the lime were not the greatest lemon and lime, so I'm gonna have to do some Photoshop work to beef up the color and saturate that. And then the boat, that was just a challenge to get a good looking boat in the first place, and then he didn't float the way I thought he would. And usually when I'm in the studio and have complete control, I can walk away just one or two photographs because I have complete control. There was a lot of elements to this photo shoot that were variables that it wasn't as easy to control. So I think I'm gonna get at least 3 images from this, but I'm gonna have to do some Photoshop work to, like I said, beef up the colors. I may have to blend 2 or 3 images with the boat to get the waves right and stuff. But even though it was a challenge, it was a lot of fun to do something like that. I've got a mess in the studio that I now need to clean up before my wife gets back, and I'll do a bunch of Photoshop work, like I said, but I will show you right now, straight out of the camera, and then when I end up with this as a finished image, you can see what I did, and we will send those 3 images into the stock agencies, see how they do. You never know. If nothing else, we had a good time, a little bit of a challenge, and as always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. We're getting slowly climbing up the ladder a little bit with the subscribers, but we got a long way to go. But thanks for subscribing, thanks for sharing, make a comment if you got one, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. It's raining again, or should I say still raining. Had a lot of rain in the south this year, which is kind of typical. We always have rainy seasons, I guess. And I always think there's part of the country that's probably going through a drought. If I could just figure out how to get all this rain to that part of the country, I could probably be a millionaire. I'm thinking PVC pipes and monkeys on bikes powering the whole thing.